Greetings, my good bitches. The name's Francis, Coke Francis. I'm an editor, Twitch streamer, drag artist, and I'm here because I am legally allowed to be, and nobody can take that away from me. As someone who wears wigs and makeup, I am currently waiting to see if my very existence is deemed as obscene by a bunch of aggressively waggling jowls in Washington. But in the meantime, I like to keep myself entertained with none other than a good old-fashioned anti-gay gay sex scandal. The only thing better than that, in my opinion, is an anti-drag drag scandal. See, now that there are openly gay conservatives for some reason, Republicans are starting to run out of scapegoats for the problems they create in their own heads while conveniently ignoring real ones. Since they can't go for all gays, now they have to just go for the gayest gays, or the big scary transes that are coming to get them while they're on the potty. But as you know, if you repeat a lie enough, it eventually begins to ring true. And now they're passing legislation all over the world because they think about genitals even more than a bisexual degenerate like myself does. So we have to look for victories wherever we can, no matter how big or small. In life, there are 3 guarantees: death, taxes, and anti-drag conservatives getting caught doing drag. It never gets old, and there will never be a shortage of these stories. Because remember, children, every conservative accusation is a confession. When these divas are inevitably exposed, because the internet is forever, they always have all the excuses lined up. I was just a kid having fun. I was doing it for theater. It was at a party. All the greatest hits. Newsflash, fellas, we're also just having fun. All drag is theater, and you're not invited to any of our awesome parties. See, it's fine when straight conservatives do drag. It's only sexually explicit when the big scary gays and transes do it. My good bitch, your confused boner is not my responsibility. They always try to pin it on the children, doing it to protect the children, keeping queens away from the children. Mary, I want you to keep your children as far away from me as humanly possible. And again, because every conservative accusation is a confession, a lot of these bitchers and moaners end up with a mugshot that's shared on social media for exactly the reasons you would expect. Now, one might think that these gotcha moments would expose these people's hypocrisy and ultimately lead to their downfall. But I haven't been able to stop thinking about what Patton Oswalt actually recently said about this.
But also, like, you realize if you point out, like, this guy said this and now he's doing this, and it took me a while to realize that's what's appealing about that person, is that they're completely lying about whatever they're doing and still getting away with it. That's a form of power. Yeah, this person should be condemned for this. You're doing the same thing. Yeah, I know.
Right.
I know I'm doing the same thing, and it doesn't affect me. Like, there is a appeal to that in a lot of people.
So yeah, I'm perfectly aware that these exposés aren't actually going to do anything in the long term, but hey, if they were just having fun, so are we. Anyway, there were enough examples of this through internet history that I was able to make an entire video where I rank the bad attempts at drag by so-called anti-drag conservatives. But before we get into it, while it's still legal to do so, if you are a fan of watching a very tired drag queen talk about nerd shit forever, I ask that you please enter the bathroom of your choice, and when Nancy Mace demands you drop your pants and show her your genitals, uphold the integrity of those America First values by going ahead and unzipping your pants and dick slapping those like and subscribe buttons as hard as you can. Alright, so I've divided these divas into 5 categories. At the top, we have Get Her on Drag Race Season 1. Believe it or not, there's actually more than one real drag queen on this list. Would they survive a modern season of Drag Race? Possibly, considering a lot of these people are rich and could probably afford the $25K price tag that comes with competing on that show nowadays. These dolls are just polished enough to get on TV, but only during an era where the bar was in hell and there was Vaseline smeared on the camera lenses. Next, Next we have honestly kind of a serve. Maybe not Drag Race ready, since these are more casual and non-committal queens, but they still managed to turn out a look or looks. Our middle category, because again, the bar is in hell, is the obligatory sashay away. These girls definitely put together looks, but not ones for the books. Am I doing it right, RuPaul? Speaking of RuPaul, our second to last category is just some goddamn H&M. For you non-Drag Race fans and or historians out there, this is a reference to one of Ru's more famous critiques in recent years, where he absolutely read Joe Black the riot act for a cheap-looking outfit. I get wanting to push queens to higher standards, but considering how much money they already spend just to be on the show, a lot of people saw this remark as classist and tone-deaf. And, yeah, it is. But we have plenty of entries today that squarely fall in that category. I really don't want to bring back the term cross-dresser, but, boy, they make it hard not to. And finally, we have our honorable mention category for drag kings and fruit flies. But Francis, drag kings slay just as much as queens. Why would you only give them an honorable mention category? Normally, I wouldn't. You know that. It's me, ya boy. But since these women support a party that treats them as anywhere from second-class citizens to literal breeding animals, I'm just gonna give them the treatment that they clearly want. So with that, let's meet the queens. We're gonna kick this list off with a classic, definitely one of the most famous examples. This is Vice President of the United States of America and Garbage Pail Kid James David Vance, or as Sassy Grilled Cheese calls him, Ashley Furniture. But wait, Francis, isn't it JD? He doesn't believe in respecting name changes, so neither will I today. This picture was taken during his time at Yale Law School circa 2012, back when Mitt Romney was the biggest issue we faced as a nation. Almost exactly 10 years before he tweeted, "I'll stop calling people groomers when they stop freaking out about bills that prevent the of my children." After this picture spread like wildfire, we, the American people, were then informed that a second picture of Ashley Furniture had just hit the internet, and a spokesperson for Vance, quote, did not deny the photo's authenticity, and did not offer any further comment. The group chat of his former classmates who obtained the picture did clarify that this was taken at a Halloween party. See, Francis, it's not actually drag, it's just a Halloween costume. Okay. Who is he supposed to be? Wait, sorry. Let me ask him in a way he's more used to. And what are you supposed to be? Is he the fabled childless cat lady he's supposedly scared of? It is Halloween after all. Anyway, let's examine this look. Big 90s vibes here, like someone who watched The Craft for the first time and made it their entire personality. I would totally wear this big O-ring necklace myself, to be honest. And he loved wearing eyeliner so much he hasn't washed it off in 13 years. This wig, though, very obviously straight out of the bag, no styling put into it whatsoever. It's giving that seafoam green wig that Layla McQueen wore the night of her elimination in Drag Race Season 8, or that wig that Ginnifer Goodwin wore in Once Upon a Time. It's not even so much the lack of forehead that looks bad, it's the fact that it makes his eyebrows kind of look like Shane Dawson's. Ashley Furniture. As vice president, you were bold and brash, but tonight on the runway, your look belongs in the trash. Now, sashay away. Our next contender is none other than George Santos, aka Qatara Ravache, the very first openly gay Republican elected to Congress as a freshman. Diva down. So George Santos is kind of fascinating to me because, and you'll know what I mean if you're also in the queer community, we all know a guy like this. George Santos is just that dumb diva friend you meet at a gay club and then you become besties for like 3 hours until you both leave very drunk and then never speak to each other ever again. Like, if I had no idea who this guy was, there's a non-zero chance that we might have like kicked it at some point. Anyway, before Miss Thing was hit with 23 federal charges of money laundering, wire fraud, aggravated identity theft, and theft of public funds, a Brazilian drag queen named Eula Rochard shared these adorable pictures with herself and another drag queen who looked an awful lot like George Santos. Georgie, of course, denied the allegations at first, lest he lose favor as a log cabin pick-me, but after everyone pointed out that he paints harder for his political headshots than he did in drag drag, he finally came clean, saying, quote, "I was young and I had fun at a festival. Sue me for having a life. Girly pop, nobody is going to sue you for doing drag. Only the 23 other felonies you committed." And he did eventually recently go to prison, and yeah, he should. He sucks. But at the same time, I can think of like 30 people off the top of my head who haven't gone to prison for committing way worse. You know what I mean? But before she sashayed away to prison, Qatara was briefly revived on Cameo for the first time in 18 years. For just 350 buckaroos, you could get a personalized message from a drag superstar. Anyway, I've talked about this dumbass for long enough, and I think Qatara would have been a perfect filler queen for Drag Race Season 1. Next up, it's America's Mayor and Simon Bar Sinister from Underdog, Rudy Giuliani. My, how the mighty fall. Miss Giuliani went from performing Victor Victoria with Julie Andrews to giving concession speeches outside of a landscaping business, all while hemorrhaging an entire BP oil spill out of the front of his head. This look was for a charity show at the New York Hilton back in the 90s, and honestly, it eats. I myself have a pink feathered robe that reminds me a lot of this frilly little number here. Then you have the silver detailing around the waist and the jewelry to match, the matching pink satin gloves, this lace front Marilyn Monroe wig that is fully styled, and a beauty mark as the cherry on top. He's also padded and cinched, and this is a cohesive look from top to bottom. And this wouldn't be Miss Giuliani's last time in drag. Far from it, actually. Not too long after this show, he hosted Saturday Night Live and served some Italian grandma realness as Rita Del Vecchio. That's actually a pretty good drag name on its own. And because I never do it myself, I gotta give credit to how Miss Giuliani always wears a breastplate. How else was the President of the United States, who regularly calls for the eradication of trans people, supposed to motorboat America's mayor?
Oh, you dirty boy, you! Oh! Donald, I thought you were a gentleman.
You can't say I didn't try.
Could you imagine the world we could be living in if these two had just kept doing whatever this is? Anyway, I think the ship might have sailed for Miss Giuliani to compete on Drag Race, but I would be lying if I said that these looks, especially the one that he did for that charity show, weren't absolute serves. Our next contestant is Nate Schatzline, former Christian pastor and current representative of Texas, the state of all time. Like most of the Christians who make my Christian friends extremely embarrassed, what sets Nate apart from these other drama queens is how he hates drag so much that he cannot stop talking about it or thinking about it. He thinks about it so much, in fact, that he authored a bill that would require establishments that host drag performances to register as oriented businesses. How would I be able to break that news to all my drag brothers and sisters who exclusively perform at Applebee's? Thankfully, that bill never even got a hearing, but Miss Schatzline still hasn't given up, drafting bills that would make drag performers liable for performing in front of children, and ones to put an end to the dreaded drag queen story hours. Because if he doesn't, how else will he distract from this video of him prancing around in a dress and Mardi Gras mask like the homosexual degenerates he tried warning us about? Miss Schatzline, who goes by the name The Virgin in the video, gave us an explanation in his best Tony Hinchcliffe impression. Hey good bitches, so it turns out Miss Thing used copyrighted music in the original clip, probably to prevent queens like myself from making videos about it, but nonetheless, I'll still read what he says. Look, the left wing is attacking me because of some class project I did as a teenager where my buddies dared me to wear a dress, but we're not gonna let that distract us from the real message of what we're trying to get done right here in the Texas legislature, and that is ban explicit drag shows. See, Francis, these are just kids having fun. They're not actually doing drag. Well, I certainly wouldn't call this drag. He's not wearing lashes, duh. But in this bill that he's so proud of, he defined a drag performance as one where, quote, a performer exhibits a gender identity that is different from the performer's gender assigned at birth using clothing or makeup. AFAB queens, take your shot. Miss Schatzline wouldn't be competition anyway. Not in this goddamn goddamn H&M. Bet you didn't see this one coming. This is none other than Homeland Security Director and PetSmart inventory liquidator Kristi Noem. Before her current position, when Kristi Noem wasn't getting gender-affirming injections into her cheekbones, she was busy banning gender-affirming care and drag shows in a state she's not even legally allowed to visit 80% of, which sure is a shame considering she regularly dabbles in drag at Halloween parties. I thought they thought all that shit was satanic. I lose track of their logic, or lack thereof. But Frances, this is just for Halloween. She and her family are just having fun. Okay, great. So am I. And literally everybody else doing drag. Almost as if everybody should have just minded their own business from the get-go. Into the honorable mentions you go, sis. We're gonna take a field trip to Tennessee, where unfortunately a bill was passed in 2023 to restrict adult cabaret performances in public or in front of children, defining these performers as, quote, topless dancers, go-go dancers, exotic dancers, strippers, male or female impersonators who provide entertainment that appeals to a prurient interest, regardless of whether or not performed for consideration. But not before Reddit and Twitter circulated this picture of Governor Bill Lee, who proudly signed the bill, and who proudly posed in drag in 1977. Any remarks on this, Billy boy?
Josh? Dressing in drag in 1977. Remember this?
What a ridiculous question that is. Conflating something like that to sexualized entertainment in front of children, which is a very serious subject.
Drag is not sexual. This is you at a high school, Governor. This right here is you at a high school. Is it only illegal when gay people do it, Governor?
Alright, while this drama queen thinks of an answer, let's break this look down a bit. Very problematic considering this is at a high school and therefore in front of children. A very serious issue, some might call it. It's kind of giving that Cynthia Lee Fontaine roller skate look when she wore those weird tennis shorts on the runway. This picture is kind of blurry, but from this angle, it looks like the wig is strapped onto his head under his chin like a helmet. It looks like there were some attempts at padding up here, I guess. The drag king on the left was much more successful with this classic oversized tramp look. So, Shantae they stay. Governor Bill Lee, your school spirit look was good enough for CNN, but after seeing your Confederate cosplay, the South will not rise again. Now, sashay away. As a little palate cleanser, here's a more wholesome story for you all. This is Derek Easterling, mayor of Kennesaw, Georgia, where apparently owning a firearm is mandatory. I've seen some reports that Easterling is a registered Republican. I've seen others that he's not affiliated, so I can't officially confirm, but nonetheless, that didn't stop him from raising $250,000 for Alzheimer's research by dressing up as Christina Aguilera and performing Lady Marmalade. So what should have been a heartwarming story about a man defying Republican expectations and raising $250,000 after personally losing family members to Alzheimer's was received exactly the way you might think it would be.
He says the negative social media reaction, like what you see here about his choice of attire, is expected, but it won't deter his efforts to help raise awareness for something he's passionate about.
There's already enough negative in the world. You know, let's move forward. Let's have a little bit of fun. That was my performance, over the top. Get people's attention and say, hey, look, if I can do this, you can too.
Good deed, no matter when man dresses woman. Man dresses woman bad. Man raise money and people sad. The funniest reaction to this, in my opinion, was from this Facebook Karen who had apparently challenged him for his mayoral seat back in 2015 and lost. But let's check out this look. Ashley Furniture could definitely take a few wig tips from this bad bitch. And he really is proof that anyone, and I mean anyone, can do drag. I get asked that question a lot, people asking me if they can do drag. Yes, bitch! But how do I get into drag, Francis? Start. If Mayor Derek Easterling can slay this hard and raise $250,000 for charity, so can you. Maybe not the latter part, but you can do drag, is what I'm trying to say. And the fact that she also has lip sync skills, get her on Drag Race Season 1 yesterday. Next up, a guy I'm surprised I don't see more gays simping over, Madison Cawthorn. But Francis, he's a homophobic Republican. And since when has someone being evil stopped us from simping? There's also a video of him a dude in the butt somewhere on the internet. Look it up if you got the chance. Anyway, Miss Cawthorn has gone on record with all sorts of wacky statements about gender and masculinity. My personal favorite is, quote, "I was raised on proverbs and push-ups." But he also said, quote, "I think that we have bred a generation of soft men, and that generation has created a lot of problems in our society and culture." He said on a podcast that's, quote, "designed to reclaim and restore masculinity in a society that is ever more dismissive of what it means to be a man." He sure talks big game for someone in this little number. Now, this is clearly not drag, but definitely not something you would expect to see on someone bitching and moaning about the supposed masculinity crisis. This one is definitely just some goddamn H&M, but oh my god, you guys are gonna be so mad at me for this. Hear me out, okay? Like, just imagine if he didn't whine about the sexual perversion in Washington or whatever and was actually like a chill dude who wanted to use his position to like do good in the world. I know for a fact at least some of y'all would be all over that. Please hear me out. Our next queen is Missouri Representative Nick Schroer, also known as Patient Zero for the male millennial Republican haircut. Despite his alleged distaste for the art of drag, Nicky sure seems to know a lot about it, as usual. According to his own clarifications in his own little anti-drag bill, Build-A-Bears with fake lashes is a step too far, but exceptions can be made for theater. He even used Mrs. Doubtfire as an example, because he needed an excuse when this picture of him in college made her grand debut on the internet. Just years ago, Missouri Dems used Halloween pics of me. Now it's high school college pics while in theater. Next, pics of me as Jesus for Stations of the Cross to say I'm blasphemous. Or that time I was the big bad wolf in a student play to allege I'm a furry. Thespian, not lesbian. Okay, first of all, thespian, not lesbian kinda rips. Secondly, nobody brought up furries and blasphemy except for you. And thirdly, all of the examples you listed are accusations that the right throws around at anything they don't even remotely understand. But listen, I get it, Nick. There's nothing wrong with you dressing in drag. It's only bad when gay people do it. Duh. But I can't say I'm a fan of this look here. Miss Schroer, on the runway, you gave us Pippi Longstocking. But unfortunately, this look certainly isn't rocking. Now, sashay away. Speaking of Mrs. Doubtfire, this is Brian Glenn, aka the captive, boyfriend of the latest Smithsonian exhibit, Marjorie Taylor Greene. On today's episode of the Family Values Party, Margie first had an affair with a polyamorous tantric sex guru, then one with her gym manager, and now this conservative producer who has the gall to call liberal women ugly. It's giving... But Margie, ever the white knight for all 10 or so of her boyfriends who are definitely not being held hostage, came to Brian's defense, despite being
damn right we're upset over drag queens.
I could tell you, I think a lot of people are up now. They're all hashtag I am up. Of course, come and check it out here. Starts on Saturday. I'm kicking these shoes off, but I may keep the pantyhose on. It does feel kind of good, actually. I'm not going to pee in them, I promise. Send it back to the studio.
I'm literally lolling. Brian Glenn dressed in drag from morning news in Dallas years ago, reporting on an upcoming local theater production, and the morons over at Patriot Takes think this is an attack. The left is so stupid. See, it's only our drag that's considered sexually explicit because we actually do it well. And the only time we ever look like Ed Gein is because it was intentional, usually. Similar to how George Carlin once said,
"Why is it that most of the people who are against abortion are people you wouldn't want to in the first place, huh?"
All the people who are against drag look like shit in and out of makeup. I normally put this in sashay away, but I'm sorry. This is haunting. Just put her in the H&M pile so I don't have to look at Pumpkinhead again until I'm done editing this. Oh god. Okay, so this next one is actually kind of wild. This is Kevin Whitt, former GOP staffer who was fired for being at the insurrection because it used to be a fireable offense. He is also the face behind Dominique O'Hara, who auditioned for Drag Race Season 3, and his audition tape is on the internet for all of us to see.
Hey RuPaul! I was just cleaning my drag room, but that can wait. You're gonna get to meet my alter ego, Miss Dominique O'Hara Sky. She'll be right back. It's me, Dominique O'Hara Sky. This is me. This is one of my daytime looks. Hey RuPaul, so here we are here in my drag room. This is one of my first dresses that I ever made. I sewed this myself. Hey RuPaul, I might be a big girl, honey, but I can still bring the boys to the yard.
So on a slightly more serious note, I read a short piece that Kevin wrote about his life story. Obviously, there's no way of verifying everything that he said, so I'm just gonna have to take him at his word. But what I read made me profoundly sad. Basically, he grew up being physically and emotionally and sexually abused. He tried acting more masculine because he was getting bullied for being effeminate, and that just made his situation even worse. And then he finally discovered drag as a teenager and created the persona Dominique O'Hara and was allegedly living as a woman for almost 20 years. He eventually found religion, and apparently a lot of his gay friends were giving him shit for that. And after doing drag for 20 years, he decided to leave that lifestyle behind, as well as the substance abuse that he was supposedly partaking in. And listen, that is absolutely fine. It's fine that he quit drag. It's fine that he's a Christian. It's fine that he wanted to make a lifestyle change after 20 years that he felt would be beneficial to his physical and mental health. Great for him. What made me very sad, however, is that he is now inflicting all of that pain inside of him onto other people, as many do. Not only has he joined the insurrection post-Q crowd, he's actively pro-detransitioning and joined the campaign to end gender-affirming care, and he insists that he is not a woman or gay and has forced himself into a life with a wife and kids. And I don't know, there was something about seeing the audition tape first and then learning about all the pain and trauma that was underneath that persona, then seeing him live his truth, only to throw that sense of self away to continue living a lie and hurting other people.
Basically, that's me. I love beautiful people and creating beautiful things. That's why I do hair.
And I don't know, maybe I'm overreacting or reading into it too much, but I actually started crying when I read Kevin's story. And I had a lot more roasts planned out, like how getting rejected from Drag Race is apparently a fate almost as bad as getting rejected from art school. And even though I do not like this guy at all, and I hate what he's become. Maybe he couldn't make it onto Drag Race Season 3, but I bet Dominique O'Hara might have slayed on Season 1. And now for the token entry who didn't have the balls to dress and drag herself, but still loves to party with us because she knows her side sucks. It's Valentina. No, not that Valentina. This is Valentina Gomez, another Missouri representative who got that attention she ordered on a silver platter when she burned a bunch of gay books in the street and then spouted off a bunch of slurs. She also said, quote, "I have stood up to pedophiles, criminals, and corrupt politicians, but this hasn't come without a price. They have tried to kill my father, poison my dogs, and destroy me." Okay, Inigo Montoya. Apparently, that still didn't stop you from getting all dressed up and going to see Aquaria DJ on New Year's Eve. You just know she's that one bitch at drag brunch who gets way too handsy and does not tip. I call them Cathy's. I had more roasts planned for her too, but damn it, the Crypt Keeper already beat me to it on Twitter. These don't belong in women's sports.
If only you had a to properly wax your upper lip and eyebrows. No wonder you're bitter. Unlike a she couldn't take it.
You know I am a firm believer that drag is for everyone. Except Valentina Gomez. Coming up on our last couple entries here, this is Dustin Burroughs, another Texas representative who wasn't quite as gung-ho about banning drag performances as, say, Schatzline or Schroer, but he did vote in favor of every anti-drag bill that's been proposed in the state, but maybe Burroughs kept a little bit more quiet because he didn't want to be outed the way his sisters were. Once this picture of him as Mother Ginger from the Nutcracker resurfaced, and so their pointless debate once again surfaced over whether drag is appropriate for theater or for sexually explicit drag shows. Because again, it's fine when they do it, just not the icky gays, right? It's only hot and sexy when we do it. I'm very aware of the effect I have on closeted Republicans, but they really painted themselves into a corner when they supported a bill that explicitly condemns all performances in which a gender that is expressed is different from what matches your genitals, no matter the context. That said, Burroughs is quite literally mothering here, you know, because like the gay term, and then also he's Mother Ginger. You get it. And when all is said and done, this is honestly a serve. Next up is Josh Mandel, Ohio representative and the pale woman from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. In addition to being just another racist poser who rants about Mexican gangbangers or whatever to siphon votes, everything he doesn't like and or gives him a confused boner equals child abuse. Especially, big surprise here, drag queen story time. So you can only imagine our surprise when a picture resurfaced of him, you guessed it, in drag. This is from his 1996 high school yearbook. Again, like Bill Lee, highly problematic that he's doing this in front of other children. Josh is confirmed as the top here with this ass bob and the Lara Croft bra. However, this Def Leppard bottom remains unknown. Josh's communication director spoke for him, saying, quote, "Josh didn't remember it, but it looks like he was joking around for a gag photo in his high school yearbook. Humor has always been an important part of his personality." Okay, so, maybe lighten the up then. Into the H&M pile you go. Our penultimate contender is none other than Kari Lake, a woman who needs to be tried and convicted for coming up with the term Big DeSantis energy. Anyway, Kari is just another fruit fly who sometimes dipped her toes into the Elvis drag king pool, but when she's not experimenting herself, she's out having the time of her life at countless drag shows. So after she posted this, quote, "They kicked God out of schools and welcomed the drag queens. They took down our flag and replaced it with a rainbow. They seek to disarm Americans and militarize our enemies. Let's bring back the basics. God, guns, and glory." Then, this American hero, an Arizona queen named Barbara Seville, holy shit that goes so hard, promptly outed this Kathy on Facebook for who she really is. Now that Kari Halperin has waded into the war on drag queens, no, she is a complete hypocrite. I've performed for Kari's birthday. I've performed in her home with children present, and I've performed for her at some of the seediest bars in Phoenix. She's come to my parties and has been asked to leave because door people thought she was too intoxicated to remain on premises. Kari was a friend of mine, and I stood by her when she turned to the right. I reached out and she responded repeatedly when she took a public drubbing. It looks like she's recently blocked me on Facebook, but forgot to block her private page. These photos are free for anyone to republish or reuse. Since she doesn't honor name changes either, Kari Halperin is confirmed as the final boss Kathy at every drag brunch. And last but certainly least, the guy who's probably hiding out from the ATF right now, it's Steven Chowder. I know it's actually Crowder, but again, not honoring names today. The guy who can't go grocery shopping by himself thinks that, quote, "the left is obsessed with feminizing men," and yet he never misses an opportunity to dress in drag, like ever. Looks like he went to the Matt Walsh school of thinking he's slick by going undercover, by dressing as the enemy, but is always immediately recognized because he has all the subtlety and nuance of Joe Rogan in a china shop.
But why are you telling me that I'm insincere?
Because I know who you are.
How do you know who I am? Are you saying that because that's a pre-transition ID? Is that why?
Whether it's at a women's rights rally, or at the gym, or in his sketches, or even just on his own general goddamn podcast, Steven Chowder seems to enjoy dressing as a lady more than any other offensive stereotype he's done over the course of his sad career. Indeed, the man who said that people who host drag events are like Hitler sure does live up to that description. And not once has he slayed in any of these looks. Steven Chowder, you're constantly asking people to change your mind, but these outfits really should have been left behind. Now, sashay away. James David Vance said that he's gonna start going after people with anti-conservative thoughts or whatever. So here, James, I'll tell you exactly what you want to hear. You're perfect, you're beautiful,
you look like Linda Evangelista, you're a model.
I'll never forget to say please and thank you ever again. Drama queen. Anyway, let's check out the winning comments from the last video. iCatsLove1 says, Threads is the social media version of that piece of glitter you find on the carpet, but you haven't used glitter in years and own nothing with it either. Car Dietrich says, can I just say, this monochrome look with a touch of purple is hotter than the Jewish space laser that started the forest fire that almost burned my mom's house down a few years ago. Thank you. Kadonkadonk says, the person with the crystals was definitely taking chips. And eating them. You too could be featured in the next video. Leave a comment below and I will pick my favorite ones and give you a shout out next time. But if you would like to guarantee your name be featured at the end of every video, please consider joining my Patreon. If you join any of the membership tiers that are conveniently named after Fallout protagonists, your name will be mentioned at the end of every video. You might also get other cool stuff like access to my Discord, behind the scenes content on how I make my wigs, ad-free and uncensored versions of my videos. So if you love my content and my drag, you can support this channel directly by clicking the link to my Patreon in the description box. If you'd like to see me simp for my favorite game characters and get visibly frustrated in real time, please follow me on Twitch. This is the first time in my life that I've ever wanted to fuck someone from Paterson, New Jersey. And if you'd like to see even more of my clown mug elsewhere, consider following me on Instagram or Blue Sky. I am currently taking a break from threads for my mental health. My handle for all of the above is @QueenCokeFrancis. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't done so already, please enter the bathroom of your choice, and when Nancy Mace demands that you drop your pants and show her your genitals, uphold the integrity of these America First values by going ahead and unzipping your pants and dick slapping those like and subscribe buttons as hard as you can. Thank you to all of my patrons and subscribers who keep this channel going, and of course, as always, until next time.